What's up, Brandon? Welcome back to another episode of Palm Harbor Local, man. Happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be back.
So I looked back at our last episode. It was August of 22, so a little over a year ago. That
Wow.
was the first one you did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't believe it's August of last year.
right,
Time's flying.
right. A lot has changed since August
A
of
lot.
last year. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. In all
yes.
aspects.
Right. Yeah, life, real estate, mortgages, all that
Everything.
stuff.
Yeah. Everything.
Um, So for people that didn't listen to the previous episode, one, you could go back and listen to it. August 8th, 22 is when it was posted. You can learn a little bit more about Brandon, but just kind of give us like the quick little rundown of what you do and how you got to working with Movement Mortgage.
Yeah. Brandon Kelter. I run the Kelter Mortgage Lending team at Movement. Movement's an unbelievable company. Came from a big bank previously. And, I help people facilitate what I call the American dream, and that's home ownership. Um, a lot has changed since August. A lot has changed. I feel like every day,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
the market, life in general, right? The home prices,
Yeah.
the prices of groceries.
Yeah.
A lot has changed, but yeah, my job is basically to help people buy their first home or buy their 10th investment property, crunch the numbers, get creative and help them build their portfolio or start their new chapter in life of home ownership.
hmm
So,
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And now you say that, I remember us talking about that before, right? Like that journey, especially for the first time home buyer, right? It's the first time they're going through it, first time they're going to own a home and experience that closing day, right? Like that's a pretty cool feeling for
yeah.
everybody involved.
Yeah,
Closing day is just a lot of fun in general,
it is.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's the stress and the pressure of the home loan process is a
hmm
lot.
hmm
But, my team and I take great pride of making it as smooth as possible.
hmm
Moving from another state or, just tired of renting and wanting to get in that house, put money in your own pocket instead of somebody else's.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. I'll be transparent. It's a lot, but what my job is to make it as smooth as possible, and as easy as possible, guide you through, all the way
Yeah.
from start to pre-approval, even before you start shopping, and then they go to you, right, to start the home search to
hmm
the day you close.
hmm
It's a lot, but we make it as easy as possible for you.
Yeah. I think that's the
So,
key. Like you can't change the process, but you can try to make it as simple as possible and
yeah,
streamline as much as you can. So
as easy, yeah.
so I wanted to have you back on and I think we can do like we've talked about before, like kind of come on and just kind of do like a quick update for the people of Palm Harbor and surrounding areas to kind of like, hey, here's what's going on in the market. Here's what we're seeing and hearing and experiencing ourselves since we're in it and every single day. So I want to start with just some of the key stats for Palm Harbor as far as like home values go, and then you can kind of touch on like some of the mortgage side of the business there too. But
Yeah,
um, so obviously inventory's been low for quite some time.
quite a
I
few
mean, I
years.
got in real estate in 2016, and we were still kind of in that seller's market, maybe trending towards a buyer's market then. And then, you know, uh, COVID happened, and we took a deep dive into that seller's market. Inventory
Yeah,
extremely dropped extremely low. Um, So right now in Palm Harbor, and this is single family homes. I left out condos, but single family homes only. There's 1.7 months worth of inventory. So if no homes were listed, it would only take 1.7 months, and we'd be out of homes for sale.
yeah.
Median days on market 21 days. It's only taken 3 weeks to get a property under contract.
They go quick.
Yeah, quick. And then and that's up month over month. So it's trending where it's little bit longer. It's taking a little bit longer to sell, but still 21 days is still pretty quick.
It's still insanely quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because with that 21 days, you have some that are 40, 50 days, and then some that are 2, 3 days.
Yeah.
median sold price 495, which is crazy to think about, right? Like,
Yeah.
both of us who grew up here in this area.
I mean, it's a desirable area though,
Right,
you know?
right.
It's Palm Harbor, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs. It's very desirable. Great schools, right? Location,
Yeah.
the water, and you're not far from the airport. It's yeah, you don't have you're outside the city, but you're close enough to it, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's what really brings the big draw. Palm Harbor, like you said, I mean, we both grew up here.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go anywhere else,
yeah.
That's why we bought here, right? So
Which is crazy to think about, right? Like, um, just fortunate that we grew up in this area,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
To be a part of that.
yeah,
So it's pretty
every day, very thankful for it.
yeah, pretty cool. So let's talk about a little bit about what you're seeing in the market. Obviously, the interest rates are a hot topic right now.
Always.
Yeah, always a hot topic. That's true.
Yeah.
But kind of, what are your thoughts? What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
I mean, it's the $1,000,000 question,
Yeah.
right? Every time I get a new lead, from an agent partner is, even before we get into the details of what goes through being pre-approved, it's what are the rates, right?
And where are they
And
going to, right?
yeah, I mean, I always tell them if anybody had a crystal ball, the experts, that we pay a lot of money for to follow them and get their expertise of what the trends and the data is showing. Um, no one has a crystal ball at the end of the day, right? But unfortunately, the rates are at a 20-year high right now.
Mhm.
So we're back in the rates where 2001, 2002, 2003, where they're at right now, right? It took I saw this stat the other day, which was is very eye-opening, but when rates change, right? From COVID years, that was pure COVID. That was
Yeah.
pandemic.
Right.
Never say never, but I think it's gonna be the odds are definitely not in our favor if we'll ever see those rates again, right?
Sure.
But back then though, let's just say, 2021, 2022, when the rates started trickling back up, right? It took people a little bit of time to realize that this is where the rates are at, 3 to 6 weeks
Mhm.
to have them wrap their head around this is where it's at, right?
Mhm.
And whether it's your first time or their 10th time buying their house, right? Or an investment property. I always tell the client to if it's their first time, I tell the client to ask their parents or grandparents what the interest rate was
Mm.
when they bought either their first home or their most recent home, right? So the 40-year average right now, rates wise, we're right there. We're in the sevens. That's the 40-year average. Rates are in the sevens. So it's not it's not out of picture, it's not out of character of where we're at right now, but it's obviously different. We're at a 20-year low, but if you go over 40 years, we're at the average,
Average. Yeah.
you know,
And the most recent memory people have of rates is the COVID
is the
times.
COVID,
Yeah.
right? Where they were historically
Right.
low rates.
Right.
You go from historic low, and if you open your mind and you really take a big look at it, and obviously that's where my job comes into play,
Mhm.
is to show you data trends, 40-year average, this is where we're at,
Mhm.
and it's very hard to wrap your head around that because obviously you go from COVID and the people who were able to and fortunate to take advantage of that,
Yeah.
it is hard. It's hard news. It's a hard pill to swallow, but the faster that you can swallow that and to really know that that's where we're at right now,
Mhm.
the less pressure that you have, you know?
Yeah, I like that because I think what makes it difficult is the values increased so much, and then the rates followed after that,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's the difficult piece a lot of people struggle with, and I would 100% agree, like, the sooner that you can kinda just get over it, and it is what it is. Like, this is the scenario, right? And if your goal is to purchase a house, then this is the landscape that you have to purchase a house in,
Yeah,
if you wanna be in this area.
right. I mean, and that's what it comes down to is what you touched about earlier is the demand, right?
Mhm.
So if we take an example of, um, me saying now is still the best time to buy, the reason being for that, and as a financial benefit to you of buying now, is you can't change the purchase price of the house. You can't change
Right.
that. However, rates change every day, every hour,
Mhm.
right? So I tell my clients all the time is you can change the rate. You can change that
Mhm.
right now. As long as you're comfortable with the payment right now, then just know moving forward, whether it's 12, 18, 24 months of what, the Fed and the experts are saying, obviously next year is a big year with it being a voting year, right? So we do definitely have to take that into factor. But, let's just say worst case scenario, rates don't drop until 18 to 24 months from now, right? Um, I actually did a video myself. I put it on my Facebook page. Um, last Monday, sorry, not this previous Monday, but the Monday before that, is I did an example where if someone to buy a $500,000 house right now, 7.5% interest rate, this is based on 5% down, and then I would say B plus credit.
Mhm.
So top tier is considered 760. I did the credit score at 720, putting 5% down. So that's $25,000 for down payment on a $500,000 house, right?
Mhm.
Your principal and interest payment, not taking taxes or insurance or PMI into place, but just your P&I, you were in the mid 3100s, right? So with everybody waiting for the market to crash or rates to come down, the more you wait, we already have demand coming in, right?
Mhm.
So when the rates do drop and you haven't pulled the trigger and closed on a house now, that $500,000 house and rates drop, there's even more demand, right? So that means that it's going to force the purchase price in the market to go up.
Mhm.
You don't get rates come down and then housing prices come down.
Right, right, right.
You don't get best of both worlds.
Yeah.
The trend shows it, the data shows it. It doesn't happen,
Yeah.
you know? So house now 500K, 5% down, right? 7.5% interest rate. You wait, rates drop. Let's say they drop a full percent. Now rates are at 6.5%,
Yeah.
5% down, 720 credit score, right?
Yeah.
So about a B plus, B minus credit score. That house now could be anywhere from 550 to 575 to even $600,000,
Mhm.
right? Because the demand rates come down. That means there's going to be more people shopping and wanting to purchase because the interest rate's down, right? It's going to drive the market and the home prices up. So let's just say again, the example I used was 5% down, 7.5% interest rate. Now 18 months from now, that house is 575 and the rates are at 6.5%. Same credit score, 720. You're $131 more on a monthly mortgage payment for principal and interest,
Even though rates dropped, but the
even though
values
rates
went up.
dropped.
Right.
But
A full
that,
percent too.
yep, a
Yeah.
full percent.
Yeah.
And you're paying more. So the longer basically just shows you that the longer you wait, even though rates come down, the home prices, because of the demand, it's only going to go up.
I think that's what makes our little area, our little pocket of, you know, Florida real estate, so difficult for a lot of people, and um just challenging, right? For that reason, right? Because demand is there.
Yeah, it's
COVID, for whatever, whatever reason, put Florida on the map to a lot of different people in the Northeast and even out west.
yeah,
And so that demand is, and now the work from home stuff, right?
even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my clients are work remote, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one good thing I think COVID brought out of all this
Yeah. Right.
is the work from remote,
Yeah.
right? So a little bit more freedom. Um, but like you said, though, it created so much more demand for the Tampa Bay area and then Florida in general, you know? So I always tell my clients, as focus on the payment. If you're comfortable with the payment, that's what matters,
Right. Right.
Location, obviously, the house, all that comes into it, correct. But once you find that dream house, the house that you fall in love with, don't focus on what the rate is. Focus on the house itself. And then are you comfortable with the payment? Because if you're comfortable with that, again, 18 months down the road, let's say again, going back to that example, you pull a trigger now, 7.5%, 500K. You already own that house, right? You took the
Mhm.
step, you pulled
Mhm.
the trigger, you purchased the house, you closed on the house. That whole entire time, that 18 months, you've been making mortgage payments, you're gaining equity
Mhm.
because every mortgage payment is dropping down that loan amount, right? You're
Yep.
gaining principal. And then at the same time, your house is appreciating because, again, the demand is there in our area,
Yep.
always appreciating. It's all time highs this year. Like every month we get an update, it's all time high, all time high, all time high for home appreciation. So if you pull a trigger by the house now and then you wait for the rates to drop, you're no longer in everybody else's pocket of waiting for the rates to drop and then purchase. You've already purchased, but your financial benefit, what I said earlier, is you're making that money work for you,
Mhm.
time being. You can't change the purchase price of the house. You can't. Once you're under contract, you agree on that, you can't change it. You can always change the rate. Always. Again, going back to asking your parents, your grandparents, aunt, uncle, best friend,
Yeah.
back in the day, ask them how many times they refinanced, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ask how many
I
times
mean,
they
I think my
refinanced.
parents have refinanced on they've been in their home, it's over it was 96, so, yeah, over 30 years now,
Yeah,
and, yeah, they refinanced a few
a few
times,
times,
you know?
even my parents, they built their house in 94.
Yeah.
They've refinanced a handful of times,
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't change the purchase price, but you can always change the rate and
Mhm.
refinance.
Mhm.
So going back to that example, if you bought the house now, 500K, 5% down, 7.5% interest rate. If you just waited until the rates dropped at the 6.5%, and let's say that house is now 575,
Yeah.
let's say if your house only appreciated to 550,
Yeah.
let's just say that purchase price, if you waited, is 575 because the demand's there. But let's just say your home appreciated and the equity there is at 550 and you refinance though. You take advantage of that 6.5% interest rate.
Mhm.
It is over $300 in savings
On the mortgage payment at that point.
at that point.
Yeah.
It
18
is
months later.
it is it's so eye-opening, you
Yeah.
know? So
Which is yeah, I think that's the key, right? And is to try to draw I mean, the interest rate, it like we were saying before, it is what it is. Like, you can't change there's nothing we can do about what the rates are. So it's almost like if you could, like, just put that out of your mind. Like, don't even focus on the rate, right? Just focus on, like, that mortgage payment, like you said.
right,
Like, what's that payment? Can I afford that? And then go find that home in that market. And, does it exist in this area? If it's not this area, where do I gotta go to find that? Am I willing to do that?
yeah,
Right? I think that's the key, and that's kinda what I talk about too is try to, like, let's, like, don't even worry about the interest rate. See what you can afford, and then and then see if we can find that home.
yeah, I mean, it just comes back like, when you go buy a car, right? Guarantee you nobody knows what their interest rate is on their car payment.
Yeah,
They just know what their car payment is, you
yeah,
know? And it's
and to take it a step further, even, like, credit cards, right? Interest on our credit cards are through the roof,
yeah, well, I mean,
and that
especially
doesn't
with
matter.
the Fed rate,
Yeah.
the Fed keep raising their rates. That's what's it's raising on. It's
Yeah,
credit card debt, right?
yeah,
So you got to focus and it's a long-term investment, right? Everybody a house is the biggest purchase you'll make in your entire life.
yeah,
It is, right? And that's why my team and I take it so seriously on getting you to the closing table as smooth as possible, but we also work basically as a financial advisor is, are you comfortable with the payment now? Because just know within when the rates start to come down, when they do, again, nobody has a crystal ball, but they're saying anywhere from 12, 18, 24 months, right? We'll really see what happens next year with it being a voting year. That's always a big
Mhm.
sway on things. But if you take advantage of purchasing a house now, it's going to work in your benefit for the long run, because again, you can refinance the house. Your payments will drop with refinance. You take advantage of that lower interest rate instead of being in the pool of buyers who have been waiting
Mhm.
for the rates to come down. So not only are you already had the house, right? If you didn't do that, now you're in the same exact pool as everybody else waiting for the rates to drop. So
Yeah.
that house now that has maybe a handful of offers, when rates drop, now you're looking at an Excel spreadsheet of buyers. We're going back to 2021 where it was 15, 20, 25 offers on the table and you're going from 30, 40, 50,000 over ask,
Yeah.
waiving appraisals,
Yeah.
waiving inspections just to get in the home. That is not financially sound because now you're purchasing the home. Let's say you agree and you're the lucky one and it's 10,000 over ask, right?
Mhm.
And you get it, but now you have the appraisal to deal with,
Mhm.
and it doesn't appraise. Well, now not only is the interest rate lower, which is what your main focus was on, now you overpaid for the house because the appraisal comes back in where, let's say the asking price was, let's just say it that,
Yeah.
or let's say it's a little less, let's say $5,000 less. Not only are you paying more principal and interest wise because the house price went up, then you went over ask on top of that. Now you're in negative equity,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know,
From day one.
from
Yeah.
day one,
Yeah.
right? So it's just getting people to see the big picture, the overall picture,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to first time home buyers.
Yeah. Like
S-
how like what's your like big picture like what's your goal for this home? How long do you want to be in this home?
Yeah,
Right? Think about that.
yeah. And that's the questions I ask my clients,
Yeah.
A, what's your time frame on getting pre-approved, right? On closing on this house. And then how long do you plan on staying in it? Because this stats show that the first time home buyer, the average home buyer stays in their house 3 to 5 years as a
Mhm.
first time home buyer.
Mhm.
3 to 5 years. Because again, life happens. You start a family, you're starting your career, there's a career change.
Right. You're making a little bit more money.
Yep, you have to move, you wanna upgrade, right? You outgrow the home, right?
Yeah.
The average homeowner is 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
That's the average homeowner, not first time. First time's 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Average is 5 to 8. People are always moving because life happens, right?
Mhm.
So, you have to take that picture in hand. You're not buying your forever home. You're not. I mean, you're very small percentage of people that their first home they stay in,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So you have to take that into picture of, you know, get the house now. It's a starter home. If you're a first time homer, it's a starter home, you know, for those people that are looking to come down to the Palm Harbor area as a vacation home, you know, you want to make sure that the payment is comfortable. Again, not the rate, because you can always refinance. When rates come down, you've already got the house, already have the property. When rates come down, then you take advantage and let that equity and appreciation work for you
Mhm.
on top of getting the lower interest rate,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. The longer time that you are in real estate, that you own the property, the better off you're gonna be.
It's
It's that simple.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
um I think I said it on our last first podcast
Yeah.
back in August of last year is I mean, it's a crazy stat, but it's 70 something percent of people who retire, they use the equity in their home to help with retirement.
Oh, wow.
70% of
Crazy.
Americans who retire, they use the equity in their home to help with retirement.
They, like, cash out their equity or
Whether they
sell their
cash
home or
out or they do a home equity line of
downsize or something.
credit,
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's in the 70s. I don't know the exact percentage, but
Yeah.
um Yeah, it's astronomical number, you know?
Yeah.
It's instead of renting, where's that money going, right? What do you have to show for it? So
Mhm.
it's a short-term and long-term way to think,
Mhm.
right? But that's where you and I come in, and we're able to help you see either the short-term picture or the bigger
Bigger,
picture,
yeah.
and then work the numbers and the area, obviously you with comps,
Mhm.
and being the area expertise of what Palm Harbor has to offer. I mean, it's
Yeah. What else are you is there anything else that you're seeing besides, I mean, obviously interest rates like the hot topic, everyone's talking about it, concerned about it, following it. Well, maybe
them.
not everyone's following it day to day, but um is there anything else that you're seeing? Anything else you see on the horizon? I know you guys just launched something at Movement. I think it was um increasing the loan limits or something that you're offering that.
Yeah, so we've had, and we just launched a new program where we call it the early release loan limits. So,
Okay.
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, conventional entities, right? Um, this time of year, they may officially announce it here pretty soon, maybe in November. But we launched a new program where the conventional conforming loan limits, basically what the max that conventional loans will loan out. We just came out with a new program that ups it to 750,000. Right now it's 723 and change. 723, 350, something along those lines.
Mhm.
But we launched this new program that allows up to go to 750,000. So, um, because when you go from conforming, which is right now 723 and change, we have our program that goes up to 750. So if we were to go for our new program, any dollar amount, literally $1 over 750,000, it's considered non-conforming. So now you are in what's called the non-QM or jumbo loan
Mhm.
programs,
Mhm.
which could require, higher credit scores, more down payment to put
Mhm.
down. So yeah, we just launched that last week. So that's super exciting. But another big thing is, coming up with the down payment or coming up with the closing costs.
Yeah.
That's always a big ticket item as well. Not only are clients looking at the interest rates, and then the home prices, like you said, with the median home price was what, 494 you said? 490
495.
495,
Yeah.
right? So, it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So, down payment, closing costs. Movement, we launched this, I believe it was definitely earlier this year, may have been last year, but definitely this year. We launched, what we call Movement Boost, and it helps with down payment and closing costs. Now, it's not a conventional loan, it's an FHA loan. Um, However, we cover the full 3.5% down, which is required for FHA.
Okay.
There's that option. And then the other option for Move and Boost is we also give a 5%. So it covers your 3.5% down payment and then an extra 1.5% towards closing costs. So, I mean, there's many programs out there. I mean, down payment assistance
Yeah.
through the Florida Housing Finance Agency. We have all of those. I know earlier this year, the big thing was the Hometown Heroes program.
Sure. Yeah.
That was massive. And originally, beginning of this year, it was for any type of first responders, you know, and later, a few months back, they opened it up to anybody. Anybody could.
Employed by the state of Florida, was it? Or
Yep.
yeah.
So the business had to have been licensed in the state of Florida.
Okay.
So if your company is out of state, however, they have a license or an approval from the state of Florida to do business here, you were approved, you know? And it jumped up from 25,000 earlier in the year for the first responders. When I opened it up, it went up to 35,000.
Mhm.
It was huge. It was great. Um, but when that happens, it goes like that.
Yeah. It
So,
depletes, right?
yeah, the funds ran
It's not
out
unlimited. Yeah.
in no time.
Yeah.
So,
But there's always the state's always doing, I think, a great job of like, you know, adding different programs like that, right? So the
oh, yeah,
Hometown Heroes
absolutely.
maybe is gone for right now. It might come back. or
Yes,
something else might come back.
absolutely, and,
Yeah,
I mean, and the regular, uh, Florida bond, down payment assistance programs that the Florida Housing Finance Agency has, those aren't out.
yeah,
Those really, in my career, they've never run out. Like, those are here to stay,
yeah,
so
okay.
it's 7,500 option, there's a $10,000 option, there's a grant option where it doesn't have to be paid back.
Oh, wow, okay.
Because a lot of those down payment assistance programs, what you have to keep in mind too is nothing is really free
Right, right.
in this life,
Yeah,
So you get the help up front, but it does have to be paid back at some point, right?
yep,
So nothing's truly really free. So you have to have that mindset going in as well, and it's obviously again my job trying to find which loan program would be best for your financial scenario now.
mhm,
And then it's also my job to have a financial scenario set up in place in the year's future, whether it is taking advantage of the refinance,
yeah,
or let's say you don't refinance, but you do want to pull equity out. It's my job to run the numbers for you if you want to do a home equity line of credit,
yeah,
and use that for either updates, consolidating debt, landscaping, paint, redoing a bathroom. There's there's a lot of programs out there that can help anybody in their financial scenario. It's just whether or not you want to pull the trigger now or you want to wait,
yep.
you know.
And I think that's why it's, like, so important to, whether it's myself or Brandon, like, lean on your real estate agent, lean on your mortgage lender, learn from them, look big picture, like you said, like, what are my goals for this home? What's my goal for 5, 10 years from now? And then, find a product or something that's gonna benefit you, right, at that time, so
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now where rates are at, it's definitely short-term thinking right now
right, right.
because we know there's a strategic refinance
Mhm,
plan in place once those
mhm.
rates do drop.
Yeah,
But that's why it's so good to take advantage now
mhm.
because you're gonna be in the pool of you already own it, and then you take advantage of refinancing when the rates drop instead of waiting for the rates to drop. And then now that demand, which is already, this big, now it's this big.
Mhm,
You're in the pool full of other buyers who have been waiting the same time you have.
mhm.
Well, it goes back to sellers as well, on your
Yeah.
end. Um, this time of year, I've always noticed, um, when we get to the holiday years, as sellers, you want to wait till the beginning of the new year, right? I tell my buyer clients now is the perfect time to buy, no matter what the rates are. The the last quarter of the year is always the best time because you have holidays, you have people traveling, parties, hosting, whatever it may be. There's less competition right now,
Yeah, yeah. A little bit
less
less demand,
competition.
yeah.
So, on a seller standpoint, if you tell your agent that you want to wait to list your house until the beginning of the new year, that's what every other seller is doing.
Mhm.
So, that 3-2 pool home that you own right now, that you're going to wait to put on the market until the beginning of the new year, what's going to happen is when you list that, you're going to be listed with all the other 3-2 pool
Yeah,
homes,
right.
so you may be overlooked.
Yeah. That's the interesting part about real estate, right? Is kind of, like, trying to determine, like, timing that, like, the trends that we have in our area. But yeah, you nailed it. Like, this time, I've always told sellers, like, or buyers, right? There's You're right, there's less demand, right? Because of the nature of, our lifestyle here in America, right? The holidays and all that kind of stuff are happening. People are traveling, school's back, right? So families are settled down. If you're a seller, there's less competition, right? But the buyers that are out there that are looking, like, they're serious and motivated and want to buy something before the end of the year too,
Yeah.
so there's that as well.
Yep. And it's, it goes back to that motivation factor, right? You know, us in our industry, you and I both, our job is to look at trends and data and everything like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
But if no one has a crystal ball. I go back to that where no one can time the market.
Right. Right.
Nobody can.
Right.
You know, data, trends, it's all from the
The
past.
past. Yeah.
It's all from the past. So that's a big thing that, there is no perfect time. There really isn't.
Mm-mm.
I know I said earlier, now's the perfect time to buy. Everybody's scenario is so different,
Yep.
So I think if you have the ability to pull the trigger now, it's financially beneficial for you to do so. You
Sure.
know, if you have to wait till the beginning of the year, you have to. I mean, it's everybody's scenario, like I said, is different. It's life.
Mhm.
But if you have the opportunity to take advantage now, it just gives you that much more opportunity to take advantage, more financially beneficial than if you were to wait,
Mhm.
you know? And again, it goes back to sellers too. If
Yeah.
you can't list until the beginning of the year, you can't. But if you're waiting, you have opportunity during this last quarter because of less competition. I mean,
Yeah.
it goes both ways, buyers and
Yeah,
sellers.
yeah. Just understanding that, and then
Yeah.
the buyer seller's making the best decision for them in that scenario.
Yeah.
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 Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, Brandon, this has been fun, man. I think we should definitely keep this going. Like, if you guys enjoyed this episode, enjoyed the just Brandon and I talking about what's going on, what's fresh, what's new in the real estate and mortgage industry. Let us know, leave us a comment, and we'll definitely have Brandon back on again to do this. So thank you for being here.
thank you for having me. It's a lot, but
Yeah,
always a pleasure, man. Yeah, I look forward to the next one.
let's do it.